So normally I come up here, I do my beginning spiel, I say something probably sarcastic, probably that's going to piss somebody off. But for the most part, I try to tell you how good this show was. And I'm not even going to tell you how good this show was tonight. What I am going to do is tell you that somebody that knows me, that knows exactly what I like on NXT and knows exactly what would make me smile, booked this show tonight. There's one or two exceptions, obviously. But this was a show tailor-made for me and everything that I like and everyone that I like and every result that would just make me smile a little bit bigger in these dark days. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Rally Check, here with your May 6th, 2020 NXT review, still broadcasting all about NXT and the current apocalypse that we are in. And speaking of the apocalypse that we are in, I did not do a review last week. A couple of things led to that. A lot of it was overtime at work, me just feeling dead, whatever, but also, you know, the world sucks right now, and it's getting to everybody in different ways, and I just got to last Wednesday, and I thought, you know what, it's just not happening today. Meant to come up over the weekend and sort of touch base on some things. That didn't happen either, for basically the same reasons. So I know one or two people asked and just, you know, hey, where's the review? I didn't get a notification, da-da-da-da. Which is a fair point, because YouTube doesn't tell anybody anything, really. But no, there is no review, nobody missed anything, all that sort of thing. I will say, I did do the next edition of the Flicks Fix, which is the movie review series that Kristen and I are doing at the moment, Black Cat Feline. We've done Godzilla 2014, we've done Kong Skull Island. Last week we didn't do anything new, but I did re-upload our old review of Captain America Civil War. Now, that was recorded at the time, so first of all, it's incredibly out of date, referring to guys like Tom Holland as, you know, that new kid that's playing Spider-Man. But also, it was recorded on a Google Hangout that died on us, I think, twice. And the sound quality is really shit. I did try to clean it up a little bit, but it's not as great as the stuff that I'm currently putting out to you guys. Not that what I'm putting out to you guys right now is Hollywood worthy either, but it is a lot of fun, and there will be another one coming out next Tuesday, same time, 9 o'clock, Toronto, Canada time. It will either be Godzilla King of the Monsters, if we get that recorded. If not, it will be the re-upload of our discussion about Black Panther. At the time, Black Panther had just come out, so we were also talking about what we were going to see in Infinity War. Some predictions were true, some predictions were false, some predictions were basically fantasy writing, etc. So to anybody that's coming out on Tuesday nights and showing some love, showing some support for that new series that I'm trying to get up off the ground, I really do appreciate it. Obviously, it's predominantly a wrestling channel. The audience for anything not wrestling is not going to be as much as it is here, but it is something different, it is something fun, and I told you guys I was going to get Kristen back on the channel one way or another. But talking about last week, didn't talk about it at all. I want to go through a few bullet points about what happened last week, because there was some stuff to talk about, but it was a lot of setup for this week. This week was one of those episodes of NXT that gets accused of being a mini takeover, like that's a bad thing. You get the people, you know, AEW fans, they're called, that will say, oh my god, they're only putting that on the show so you'll watch it. Yeah, that's kind of the point. But if this was a takeover-worthy episode of NXT, then last week would have been the go-home for that takeover. And we had a bunch of things on there. We had the Garganos and their new gimmick. Candice LeRae took on Kacy Catanzaro. Kacy Catanzaro is awesome in her own right, and I hope they do something with her eventually, but she just got murked in this. Gargano out there being the fanboy, the two of them just being obnoxious. She has brand new music, brand new Titantron stuff. They're calling her the pint-sized poison and the poison pixie and all that sort of thing. It just works really well. It works on the same level. It works on the same level as Seth Rollins, where a lot of people, oh my god, I can't cheer him as a wrestler because he's a dick in real life. No, you just got worked. That's what that is, and it's fucking great. Swerve and, more importantly, Drake Maverick picked up respective wins on the Cruiserweight tournament, which is good. Maverick the whole discourse around Drake Maverick and his participation in the Cruiserweight tournament after being fired and, you know, the Black Wednesday stuff and all that continues to be a big source of contention among wrestling fans, and I get it. There's no easy answer on this one. He was apparently fired while all these other people were really fired, but he's still on the show and they've made it into a storyline. I get it. You guys got to understand that I put it on the shelf while I'm watching the show. Real life, I don't know what the guy's real name is. Let's just say his name in real life is Bob. Okay, if Bob in real life got fired, that's terrible. But if Drake Maverick, the character, got fired and he's fighting to get his job back, that is a fictional story that I can get into, and I'm able to separate the two. It's very much like the Chris Benoit argument, where I will say he's an absolutely terrible human being that did a terrible thing, but his body of work deserves a Hall of Fame induction if you could induct a body of work without inducting the person. It's like CM Punk and Paul Bearer's ashes. It wasn't Phil Brooks dumping out the real life ashes of what's his name, something Moody, in front of real life guy Mark Calloway. It was CM Punk, fictional character, dumping out the ashes of fictional character Paul Bearer in front of fictional character The Undertaker, who is the symbol of death. So that's why I'm able to enjoy the Drake Maverick stuff. If we get to the end of this and it turns out that he is actually fired along with everybody else, then obviously that's terrible. And obviously all the people that we lost, that lost their job, lost their livelihood, is all terrible as well. We know the world outside is terrible right now. But please understand when I tell you that that's why I'm able to still look at the story as a story. As far what's happening outside of the ring, when the cameras stop rolling, we can have that conversation at another time, because that's not part of the story. I know that's not a popular take. I get it. And the people that disagree with me, I get that too. And I'm not saying you're wrong. But it's how I have to intake the show, or else I can't talk about matches that are actually pretty good. He did something to his arm, and he sold his arm, and it's all good. Now, I'm not leaving just yet. Keith Lee defeated Damian Priest, and a couple of people thought I was going to be bummed about this. I don't want to throw new contenders at Keith Lee because I want Keith Lee to not be champion anymore. I didn't even necessarily want Damian Priest to be the champion. What I did want was for Keith Lee to face somebody other than Dominik Dijakovic. And that's what we got. And Damian Priest is a lot of fun. I threw it out there on somebody else's channel. I think it might have been What Culture. If Aleister Black was still in NXT, I would say Damian Priest and Aleister Black go for the tag titles. It's fine. But it was a good match. I liked it a whole bunch. The spot where he had him out in the where the audience would be, if audiences still existed, and threw him not only over the rail but like into the side of the apron was just terrifying. And obviously he got the end. He had that big melodramatic I am Iron Man moment, except it was I am Limitless, and then, you know, we went to the nightstick, which was the story the whole way through, the whole way from the week before, hitting him in the throat, all that sort of thing. And it wrapped up nicely, you know, on to the next challenger, but please let the next challenger not be Dominik Dijakovic again. Speaking of Dominik Dijakovic, he called out Johnny Gargano for this week, and we're going to talk about that shortly. I mean, you can imagine how excited I am about that. Io Shirai versus Charlotte Flair was announced for this week. Adam Cole versus The Problematic Dream was announced for this week. Charlotte defeated Mia Yim. Good little match. I'm a fan of Mia Yim. I didn't think she was going to win here. I'm not an idiot, but she did have a good showing. Charlotte did pull her along a little bit. I can admit that. And it's all good. And the big talking point coming out of last week was the Newly Bros game. Now, some people will tell you that there's not enough fun stuff on NXT. And I get that take. NXT takes itself pretty seriously. NXT fans take NXT pretty goddamn seriously. I mean, there's a big black and gold flag right behind my head over there. That's not by accident. And I get what they were trying to do with the Newly Bros game. I really do. I get that Matt Riddle is this comedic guy. He's got the really laid-back stoner attitude and whatever, and I get that he needs a straight-faced foil, and we don't have Pete Dunne right now, so they've got this other guy, Timothy Thatcher, in there. I get why people liked it. I do. I really do. I want to like it, but between the fact that Thatcher is a stand-in, Byron Saxton doing Byron Saxton things, and it's, how can I say this? It telegraphed, for me, the the run-in, because they went out of their way to be goofy, so you knew they were going to be interrupted by the guys that take the mat seriously, the guys that say the mat is sacred in Imperium. Now, Imperium is only Barthel and Eichner at the moment, because as far as I know, Walter himself is in quarantine across the pond, wherever he lives. I don't know off the top of my head where he lives. That's bad. I probably should have looked that up before I started talking to you guys. And I don't know where Alexander Wolf is either, but, I mean, they are good. They are really good. Barcel and Eichner both were in regular NXT, and I couldn't have had two words to put together about either one of them. But you put them together not only as a tag team, but under the banner of Walter and Imperium, and they are a really good team to watch. For the guys that aren't fun, they are a fun team to watch, and to watch them go up against Matt Riddle in this thing would be really good. Now, they have the ties to Pete Dunne, you know, from NXT UK. Now, that story would have been great. Thatcher, as the champion, is one of the odd ones in the mix, and I don't know how they get around that. But I imagine, not that I wish Imperium to be on the main roster, because nothing should be on the main roster right now. I imagine this is what would happen on the main roster if Imperium was there on SmackDown and they went and they just fucking murked New Day or something like that. But, I mean, New Day are ridiculous, and Matt Riddle is kind of brilliant with his ridiculousness, so it's gonna play out well, and it's gonna lead to a match that we're gonna talk about later on that will be good. The Newly Bro, like, the comedy shtick, when the criticism of NXT is that there's not enough comedy stuff and not enough fun stuff, you can't jump into the deep end of the pool and do something like what they did, because some of it was funny, and Matt Riddle looked like he was making fun of it while he was in it, and I laughed at that. But the rest of it, with the whiteboards and like I say, over-dramatic Byron Saxton just happy to still have a job, it doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. The guys involved are great. Thatcher I've seen in exactly one match, and, I mean, he looks like he could kill somebody. Matt Riddle is Matt Riddle, and Imperium are great in their own way at what they do. This was a really sort of ham-fisted way of saying, hey, comedy fans, look at us, we can do comedy too. And I'm sorry, as much as I get what they're trying to do, and I've waffled on this for far long enough now, as much as I get what they were trying to do, it didn't work for me. I'm sorry. I don't mind a little bit of fun. Matt Riddle is naturally fun. You can't manufacture him a fun scenario, though. Anyways, we started off the night, and I got as far as the opening hype package for the two main events, Charlotte Flair versus Io Shirai and Adam Cole versus The Problematic Dream, and then my stream cut out immediately, which is fine. I mean, it was only Gargano versus Dijak. From what I can gather on social media, much like Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano has, you know, he's changed up his entrance. He's made it a little bit more serious or selfish, or however you want to say it. His gear is a little bit different. He's got TJGW, like the Johnny Gargano way on his gear now, which is fine. I guess he's getting rid of that like emoji looking face thing that he had on there forever and ever and ever, which is good. Actually, I listened to a podcast today on What Culture, and they were talking about like little things that bug us about wrestling, even though they shouldn't. And I believe it was Adam Nicholas made a big deal about gear, and, you know, don't just change gear all the time. Change gear when your character is changing gears. He didn't say that. That's a terrible pun that I just made. But it definitely rings true here, because Johnny Gargano's always got a little bit of color, a little bit of flash to what he's doing, and this seems to be a very dressed down version of that. But as my stream came back in, and I gotta say, before we get into this, WWE/Sportsnet 360 here in Canada, get up off your ass. Give me a proper 2-hour broadcast of the 2-hour show that happens on Wednesday night. A 1-hour cut down NXT 2 nights after it happens is fucking useless. Show some respect for your Canadian viewers and your Canadian fans, because God knows there aren't any other sports happening right now, and give us a proper broadcast of NXT. Until then, you can fuck off. Anyways, we came back. I found myself a stream again. We came into corner chops by Dijak in the corner, and chop block by Gargano, a mudhole by Gargano, and a series of kicks and elbow strikes. Discus lariat by Dijak, and a toss vertical suplex and a mudhole stomp backbreaker by Dijak. And a distraction by Candice LeRae leads to a suicide dive by Johnny Gargano as we go into the commercial break. Because... actually, I don't know why. I was going to say because of coronavirus, but I don't know exactly why. They've stopped doing the picture-in-picture, at least on the stream of USA that I've got. So that's fine and wonderful. We get back, there's a backpack sleeper by Gargano, a boot by Dijak, and a hard right hand, a knee strike, and a toss-away slam by Dijak. A series of kicks by Gargano, a choke bomb by Dijak. Gargano works the leg, because you would work the leg, wouldn't you? Because the guy's bigger than you, and what do? You chop the tree from the top, or you chop the tree from the bottom. You chop it from the bottom. It's good. Head scissor onto the exposed turnbuckle by Gargano, which was good. It was kind of cool the way they set this up, too, because Gargano was stuck in the corner, like face down on the turnbuckle pads, getting his ass handed to him, you know, big forearm shots and shots to the back of the head and shots to the back, and he was just sort of taking it, like he was ragdolling, but really, he was taking all those shots for the opportunity to get the turnbuckle pad off so that when the power bomb happened, he could turn it into a head scissor into that exposed turnbuckle. Take a couple of shots to get in one really good one. I really like that. And then, what do we get from that? Off of the exposed turnbuckle shot, you know, you got Dijak being the big guy that just got hit in the head, you know, stagger step, whatever. And then Johnny Gargano wins with the slingshot DDT, and the name of the slingshot DDT, and this will piss people off or they'll love it depending on their point of view. It'll piss you off if you're bitter about things like this. It'll be awesome for you if it's awesome for me because I like the match. The slingshot DDT is now referred to as the one final beat. I love that. I know exactly who won't love that, and that's just fine. I love heel, pain in the ass, shtick, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. It's fucking good. We see a replay of the attack on Riddle and Thatcher by Imperium. There's a pre-recorded challenge in the back from Imperium. And Imperium kind of look like they're in Aleister Black's closet because you don't really see anything and it's all black behind them and there's a bit of smoke for reasons. They're not creepy characters. We're going to talk about creepy characters in a second, don't get me wrong. But they're not creepy characters. I don't know why they had to put them... I don't know why they had to put them in Aleister Black's cupboard. That wasn't necessary. But we move on. We move on to action in the Cruiserweight, what is it? NXT Interim Cruiserweight Championship Tournament Round Robin Gimmick Schneebitz Fernum Burnham. Group B, Jack Gallagher versus Akira Tozawa. I will say both of the Cruiserweight title, I can speak, I swear, we're only halfway through the week. Both of the matches in the Interim Cruiserweight title tournament round robin thing that happened tonight were really short, and I don't mind that because Cruiserweight matches should have that short burst feeling too. But this was Jack Gallagher, still looking like a reject from Game of Thrones, taking on Akira Tozawa. Tozawa starts the match by jumping on Gallagher with a body scissor and then going for a test of strength from that position. I don't know how you have leverage from that. And I'm not making fun. I don't have a grappling background. I don't have an amateur wrestling background or any kind of martial arts background whatsoever. So I'm saying this from a point of ignorance. I don't know how you have leverage from that position because the other person can just drop you, but whatever. The octopus hold and the test of strength by Tozawa is countered by a headbutt by Jack Gallagher, a Samoan drop and an overhead suplex by Tozawa to follow. Tozawa goes for a suicide dive and it's blocked by a vicious forearm by Jack on the outside. There's a series of kicks by Jack, a seated surfboard stretch. Jack works on the fingers and the wrist, a la Pete Dunne and some of the Mustache Mountain guys. We know what they do. It's good. A snap Frankensteiner by Tozawa is what he gets for his troubles. Both men brawl to the outside. There's an apron DDT by Tozawa after they stand on the apron and trade a lot of stiff forearm shots. It's really good. Top rope senton by Tozawa gets the win. Now, I know that he's got a really good senton, Tozawa, but if you consider the fact that they make him look like crap on Mondays and then he's got to come in on Wednesdays and look legitimate, I think it would do him really good to have a very much more impactful finishing move. That's just me. I like the senton that he does because it's sort of like a floating senton. It's not nearly got the snap or the delivery of something like the Swanton Bomb, which we're going to talk about later on in another match. And so it does have this sort of like graceful presentation to. I don't know why I'm doing this in the chair, especially for you guys listening on audio. I don't think that's going to do you any good whatsoever. It's good, and he does it really good, and it looks really good, and it looks really fluid, and it looks really professional, and everything good that I can possibly say about it. But it doesn't look like a kill. It doesn't look like something that ends the match. It's like, okay, AEW fans, get ready to get mad. It's like Chris Jericho winning a match with an elbow. Yeah, that's what it is. Anyways, Tozawa goes up to 2-0. He is in the lead of Group B, I think. I didn't write down the final scores this week because I'm lazy. It's fine. Post-match promo, he talks about his last opponent being El Fantasma, talks about the fact that he admits he's never fought him before, but he needs the win, and that's basically how it's going to go. I think it's kind of cool that they figured out a way in this round robin to be like, hey, there's only one guy left for me to face, and it's not a, hey, stranger that I don't know, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself. It's just like, hey, I'm coming for you. I need one more win. It's fine. Xia Li takes on Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green gets a win because Aaliyah stands outside the ring and distracts Xia Li, because Aaliyah and Xia Li have a pretty long-standing story now, even though it hardly ever is relevant, even though it hardly ever matters per se. You know, they've traded some kicks and somebody broke their nose, and now they're just going to poke in each other's matches. Now I'm watching on a shitty stream, like I said, and the picture isn't the greatest, so when I saw this tiny person coming down in black and the picture wasn't very clear, I thought for a second that Zelina Vega was back on NXT, which would have kind of made sense, because her entire group of people on Raw that are getting slaughtered, and they really shouldn't because they're all good, she's recruited them all from NXT so for her to show up on NXT, it would have made sense, but it wasn't her at all. I was just seeing things on my shitty pixelated stream because Sportsnet 360 won't give me a proper broadcast of NXT. And it was Aaliyah. She did the distraction. And Chelsea Green won with the running unprettier that she calls the I'm Prettier. That's fucking fantastic. Also, Robert Stone was out with her talking about the Robert Stone brand and doing Robert Stone things, and it's all good. Now, we went to something, and I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I gotta send a huge shout out to Strife19 in the comment section and on Twitter that has been trying to tell me for weeks why I should be excited and why I should be all hyped up about KARRION KROSS, formerly known as Killer Kross, and Scarlett Bordeaux, who has gone through WWE syndrome and lost her last name, and now she's just Scarlett. But god damn, black and white scenery to start. Lots of smoke, lots of really creepy imagery and crows and whatever as the dark arena fills up, and then there's the outline of KARRION KROSS and Scarlett, and the intro becomes very different as the music kicks up and everything that is black and white and everything. It's not even black and white, it's like a weird, it's like black and that weird sepia color that if you see really, really old photos, black and white photos that have faded a little bit, and it's black and white, but they've got like that little tinge of beige to them, not quite white. It was like that, but then it bursts into bright reds and bright oranges and bright like fiery color imagery, and the posing and the music that they have. The music that they have for their entrance is nothing like anything else, and it's very... I was talking to Jake DeMarco while this was going on, and the only thing I could really think of, I'm really scared to say this in a wrestling context, but they had sort of a demon vampire-like element to them, and I'm scared to say that because as soon as I say that, they're going to turn him into like Kevin Thorne or Mordecai or Gangrel or Vampiro or something. That's not what I'm going for, but they've really got this sort of like unworldly other nature. I mean, Scarlett Bordeaux is hot as fuck, and that doesn't hurt either, but it's just got this way. It's very much the way Damian Priest is, very much the way Aleister Black is, in the sense of they're a little unworldly without being a creature, so to speak. Like, you're not talking about the demon Finn Balor, you're not talking about the Fiend Bray Wyatt or the Undertaker or Kane or anything like that that's not human, but there's a little less than human, and it was really good. Now the match was nothing. The match was two snapback German suplexes, which they called it on commentary something else. They called it the Suicide Saito suplex or something like that, and then he beats him with the cross jacket, which is this fallback into a submission that was a combination of a body scissor and a choke. It almost reminded me of how Asuka snaps on the Asuka lock. It wasn't the same, like they didn't trap the arm or anything. It was a choke and that sort of thing. But I mean, this dude, yeah. So Strife19, I get it. Message received loud and clear. For all the times I come up here and say, hey, so-and-so is coming in, tell them what I should know. I didn't bother to do that with KARRION KROSS. But he's got my vote. I mean, he's just gonna fucking kill people, and for them to constantly be talking about, you know, TikTok, the doomsday clock and all that sort of thing. Now, I will say, now you got two guys in there with clock gimmicks, though, because you got this guy doing the TikTok, and it's all good and whatever. But you also have Kushida coming out there in the Back to the Future gimmick, and he's got the watch on his wrist too. So hey, are they gonna fight each other? Maybe. They should be a tag team. No, anyways, moving on. Moving swiftly on. But yeah, really impressed by the little tiny bit that I saw tonight, and I hope they do keep it to little tiny bits, because yeah, the guy just got here, and I'm usually one that says I get bored of squash matches pretty quickly, but he was, I don't even know who, I think he was facing Leon Rush, or Leon Ruff, I think is his name, jobber guy. Anyways, discount Leo Rush. But yeah, no, definitely like what I saw. If this is anything like what Killer Kross did on the Indies or in Impact or anything like that, I'm very impressed and very interested to see what they do, and I think I know where they're going already, and I don't think they need to go there just yet, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Moving on, the first of our two main events, what should have been the main event, not Adam Cole versus the Problematic Dream, was Charlotte Flair versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, I'm going to say something here really quick before we get on to the match. People don't like that Charlotte Flair is the NXT champion, and there's this dialogue going on right now that, oh, they just threw it on Charlotte Flair because she's Charlotte Flair and she's entitled and she has to have a title on her, etc., etc., etc. I couldn't disagree more, and, you know, not the same way as she said in her promo on Monday Night, but she is doing double duty in a sense, because she's gonna bring eyes. I mean, I know the ratings don't bear it out, so don't come at me with the ratings. Ratings are what they are. But she is gonna bring eyes one way or another, at least in conversation, to NXT from the main roster, because she is somebody from the main roster on NXT. Also, they needed to have a champion on Raw, because Becky Lynch hasn't been there since WrestleMania. And if you even look at the poster for something like Money in the Bank, so trust me, I hope to have somebody else on later in the week, and we are going to talk about Money in the Bank on the roof with the palm trees on the roof match. That's, yeah. But if you look at that poster, where you sort of see two sides of the same whole, you see Drew McIntyre, champion, back-to-back with Braun Strowman, champion. You see Bayley, champion, back-to-back with Charlotte. The Raw Women's Championship is not there. Becky Lynch is not there. Charlotte and the NXT title are where the Raw Women's Champion usually would be. So, as much as people say that, oh, they just did it because it's Charlotte Flair, they did it because Raw needed a champion and they didn't want to take the belt off of Becky Lynch. But also, she is going to give people their best matches. I mean, I know people say this about Sasha Banks all the time, except they're wrong. So many people in WWE have their best match with Charlotte Flair. Whether you like Charlotte Flair or not, I'm not even a huge... I'm a fan of what she can do in the ring, but as a character and all that sort of thing, I'm not even the hugest fan or supporter of Charlotte Flair. I just see things that other people don't want to see, and that makes me sound arrogant, but I don't care. People do have their best matches with Charlotte Flair. They really do. And it's evident in the match that we're going to talk about tonight. It's evident in the match that she had with Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. I know these are different times. There's no crowd. How can you judge this or that or the next thing? But it really is true. But she is providing Raw with a champion without having to take the belt off Becky Lynch, which is something they obviously don't want to do. It's providing really good matches for NXT with all their upcoming talent, and it puts over anybody. And I don't mean she puts them over as in getting the win, but Charlotte Flair, for the same reason that people don't like her, she's not an NXT person anymore. She is always going to be portrayed as this invader that's holding their title hostage. So by default, anybody that tries to take that belt off of her, whether it's Io Shirai, whether it's somebody like Aaliyah, whether it's somebody that we're going to talk about in a second, whether it's right down to somebody like my girl Shotzi Blackheart, anybody going for Charlotte for that title is going to be over automatically, because they're righting what is a wrong in a lot of people's minds. She's not an NXT person. She's not one of us. She doesn't go here, as you know who would say. but she's also seen as this big invading force, and whoever's fighting her can be seen, can be portrayed, can be story told as saving that title and bringing it back to the brand, and that's fucking brilliant. And am I saying that Charlotte Flair needs another 10 title reigns? Am I saying that she even needs to spend a lot of time in NXT? No, but for the short term, for the purpose that she's serving on Raw, for the purpose that she's serving on NXT, and how I think all of it's going to work. Because when she does lose, she is still a Raw superstar. And from then on, you can have any of her opponents on Raw being like, yeah, you couldn't even hang with the developmental kids. Like, there's storytelling beats for this out the wazoo. Anyways, let's talk about Charlotte Flair versus Io Shirai, because it is, because of the way the world is right now, because they can't have an audience, because we're all in the middle of the apocalypse and everybody hates it and everybody's a little cranky about something, it is a tragedy that this match, dream match as it is, how can I say this? Losing my train of thought. That this match, such as it is, could not happen in front of a crowd, or they couldn't wait to have this in front of a crowd. I do think they jumped on it. I don't know what the specific cool thing was about this week where they needed to do a stacked show. Back on the 18th in December, when they stacked up a show, and AEW did the same thing, and we won the night. Let's just put that out there. There was a reason, because both shows knew that the other show was building up a stacked show. Now, there's cool things happening tonight on AEW that I'm aware of, I think. I think they're teaming up Kenny the Beta with Matt Hardy for reasons versus Le Sex Gods. And, I mean, Jericho and Sammy Guevara are pretty cool. I'll give them that. But, I mean, they're not doing anything else with that tournament. I mean, big surprise, shock and awe, Cody Rhodes is in the final of that tournament. So let me tell you how excited I am about that one. Go back to my rant about Cody Rhodes. But bottom line, as much as I like having these NXT TakeOver level episodes of NXT, I'm not sure why they stacked up on this particular night. But it is what it is, and we got some cool matches out of it, and the main event was the main event and made me laugh. Collar and elbow tie and a side headlock by Flair, body shots by Shirai, a shoulder tackle by Flair, and a drop kick by Shirai, snapmare by Flair, and a figure four. Now, this is something she hasn't done since she was in NXT, I think, where she puts the figure four headlock on, turns them over, and bashes their face into the ground. I love that, and then she does that thing where she keeps them in the figure four face lock and, like, rolls through and suplexes them by their fucking face. So the other cool thing about this is you get some of the old Charlotte Flair offense that we don't see on the main roster. So that, at least on a personal level for her, that's got to be a cool thing as well. Because little things like that are not present in what she does on the main roster. Thez press and mounted punches by Flair, forearms by Shirai, a boot by Flair, and a lariat as we go to the commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, we've got a hard Irish whip by Flair, a springboard dropkick by Shirai, a top rope head scissor by Shirai, and a series of strikes, a boot by Flair, and a backbreaker face buster combination into the turnbuckle, followed by a moonsault that misses. 619 by Shirai, corner double knees, and a walkover. Shirai misses her moonsault as well, so in contrast to what I would usually say, anything you can miss, I can miss better. I don't know. Boot by Flair and a near fall. Head scissor into the bottom turnbuckle by Shirai. Shirai misses a moonsault to the outside, and Flair just decides, fuck it, pulls out a kendo stick, gets herself disqualified, wraps Io Shirai's newly healed legs around the post. She looks like she's going to go for the Bret Hart figure four around the ring post thing and forgets that there's steps there, so she kind of kicks the steps out of the way, but she doesn't get to do it because who is back? The proper number one contender, Rhea fucking Ripley, is back, chases Flair out of the building, and then on her way out tells Io Shirai to go fuck herself too, pretty much. So she's gonna go back tweener a little bit. I'm kind of cool with that. We all saw how she was as a heel on NXT UK, but more importantly, Rhea Ripley is a fucking star, and she's back on NXT. Now, I heard the reason she was gone, and a lot of people heard, and a lot of people read on the dirt sheets, whatever. I don't know if it's true, but the whole idea that she'd been gone for so long because she had to go back to Australia because she had, like, passport, visa, whatever issues. Now, I'm sure WWE has a connection to somebody that can fast-track that shit, and they would when they know they have a fucking star like Rhea Ripley. So we got Rhea Ripley back to take her shit out on Charlotte Flair for the WrestleMania loss. I'm okay the more we get away from WrestleMania, the more I'm okay with Charlotte Flair beating her, because it's one thing to have your first WrestleMania in front of nobody. It's another thing, if you're somebody like Drew McIntyre, to have your first major title win at WrestleMania in front of nobody. So bring this story full circle next year when hopefully there's a fucking crowd, and basically set up the rematch for this. Have Charlotte Flair keep the belt. Yes, I know that'll make a lot of people salty. Have Ripley be the one that goes the entire gambit of the Rumble and says, you know what, you, me, one more time, now that there's people to see it. I hope when the crowds are back, that the wrestlers cutting promos are allowed to dig into that a little bit. You know, have Drew McIntyre call out Brock Lesnar and he's like, yeah, well, I beat you. The title's already mine, but nobody really saw me beat you, and I'd kind of like to do it again. Now, tastefully, now you can't make light of the situation, but you can make light of what happened during the situation, because if not, everything that's happening in this time period right now just doesn't matter. And there has been odd little bits of good that they've done. Some of the cinematic wrestling has been great. One Last Beat was phenomenal. I won't hear otherwise. But yeah, anyways, Ripley's back. Charlotte fucks off. Io Shirai and her get into it in the back, so I guess they're gonna fight next week or in 2 weeks or whatever. Now Shirai, it can never really decide whether she's a face or a heel. Ripley, if she's gonna go tweener, that could be really cool. I don't want her to go full-blown heel, because you can't get a true redemption story as a heel. At least you can't, in my opinion. But Ripley's back, and that makes me smile a whole bunch. That, combined with how good this match was before the DQ, makes up almost for the fact that my girl Shotzi was not on the show tonight. That is a bummer. Some action from Group A in the interim NXT Cruiserweight Championship Turtle Tournament. It's been a long day. It's been a really long day. Kushida versus Jake Atlas, which is weird, because I could have sworn on a stack that Kushida was taking on Swerve this week. I don't know whether I heard that in the ether somewhere, but it is what it is. Test of strength and a grapevine by Kushida to start. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Boot and an arm drag by Atlas, boot by Kushida, swanton to the outside by Kushida, body shots by Atlas, a hip toss, a low drop kick by Kushida, a corner palm strike, a bicycle kick by Atlas, a suplex and a running enziguri followed by a neck breaker, suicide dive by Atlas, but by the time they get back in the ring, cross arm breaker by Kushida, gets the win. Kushida goes up 2-0. He is the leader in his, I was about to say demographic, but his group, in Group A. So you got Tozawa on one side, you got Kushida on the other side. I'm not going to lie, if this tournament came down to Kushida versus Tozawa, I wouldn't mind that at all. I still do think Kushida's going to win the whole thing, because I do think we're going to get Kushida versus Jordan Devlin at some point when the world comes back to life again. But in the meantime, it's really interesting. Then you get Balor. And this was a bit of a false advertisement from NXT. I'm going to call them on this a little bit, because they said that Balor was going to come out and confront the people or person that attacked him a couple weeks ago, and that doesn't really happen. He does come out. They've got that weird podium set up at the top of the rampway, and I don't know why, because people there look like they're there to receive a slammy or something like that, and especially Finn Balor, who sort of cuts his promos like sort of stalking around the ring a little bit. He looked really weird cutting that promo from the podium. And I don't think, if you watch him cut the promo, I don't think he likes being there, if that makes sense. It says the biggest snakes in NXT aren't in the office, they're in the back. Wrestling 101 says if you attack the guy, you know, the guy that's the guy, you get the push, you get the bells and whistles, you get the lasers and smoke. But then when the lasers and smoke and bells and whistles and all that sort of thing are gone, you're just left in the ring with the prince. I'm a patient man, but the push you're expecting will be a squash. Now, I love the smarmy, sarcastic use of insider lingo throughout this entire promo. I thought it was really great. But he didn't name his attacker, which is what they said he was going to do. I like Balor. The promo was okay. Shouldn't have been in front of the pedestal, and it should have gone to something. It does go to something we're going to talk about in a second. I don't like what that something is. Moving on. We get the announcement that indeed, next week, we're going to get Riddle and Thatcher defending the tag team titles against Imperium. So, in the past 3 weeks, or in the past several weeks, sorry, we've been working towards a new Cruiserweight champion. We had a North American title match last week. We had a men's and women's title match this week, and we're going to get a tag team title match next week. So, they're doing things. I don't know how much, you know, playing around with the belts in front of no audience is going to be good or bad. Like, you could build more stories. It's easy in the case of somebody like Adam Cole, because if Adam Cole's got somebody coming for his belt, he can just keep on sending the Undisputed Era guys to fight them instead. But, I mean, it will be a good match. Thatcher is a filler. They have to do a lot if they want me to think that Thatcher's not a filler, and they haven't done that yet. So, Cameron Grimes squashed a jobber, and I really didn't care. And then he grabbed a microphone, and I didn't care even more. He talked some shit, and he said, you know, Finn Balor just said it a minute ago, so I'm just going to crib off of what he said. He says, if you want to talk, you know, if you want to be the big guy, if you want to get the big push, etc., you got to go after the big guy. It's too bad Balor's dealing with something else, or I'd smack the taste out of his mouth. Balor just comes back and dumps him out of the ring, which is fine. And then they came back and told us that Balor has to waste his time next week with a jobber like Cameron Grimes. Oh yes. And then we have Adam Cole versus the Problematic Dream for the NXT title. And yes, I'm going to keep saying the Problematic Dream because other people facing similar accusations, and I'm going to be very careful because they are accusations, and I'm not going to say what's true, I'm not going to say what's not. I am a big advocate of if true over me too. I really am. But if you look at the way that some other people have been treated by this company under the weight of similar accusations, they weren't getting title shots for the main title of their brand, were they? In fact, they had to buy themselves a ticket to sit in the front row at SummerSlam. This is not okay. Not okay in the slightest. And I feel bad because I did like Velveteen Dream. But A, it could be true. It could be true. It could be true about the person you're putting in a position next to the main title of the best brand in your company. I don't care. You treated somebody who was proven innocent much worse in a very similar situation to this. And there's only one reason for this amount of difference. And you guys all know what it is. And I'm not going to dwell on it. We're going to talk about the match, but this is bullshit. He's getting a main event push, he's getting a title push, when it's very possibly he could have done some stuff that I don't want to talk about. It is what it is, and it's not because it's Velveteen Dream. I don't have any reason to want the guy to fail, but in the weight of the accusations that he's under at the moment, you can't be putting him in a title match. You can't even be creating a fictional scenario where we're led to believe he could be the figurehead of your brand under that type of scrutiny. That's why the other guy that got accused of this type of thing doesn't work for your fucking company anymore. Do I need to say more? Go ahead. I don't care. I love you guys. I love my audience that I have here on this channel. But if you have a problem with anything I'm saying right now, hit the chat over there. Hit the comment section down below. Find me at SpazPhoenix1 on Twitter, at SpazPhoenix on Instagram. Find me anywhere you want and tell me that this is okay. Because it's not. And you guys know I love NXT. There's a lot. I give NXT a lot of rope to make mistakes. I mean, they pushed Bianca Belair for fuck's sake. But this is not okay. The end makes it okay. Because the end makes me smile. But let's talk about it. Collar and elbow type and a bitch slap by Dream. They brawl to the outside. Cole eats the steps and there's two super kicks by Cole. Spine buster by the Problematic Dream and right hands in the corner. Hangman by Dream and a Dream DT. Because that's not corny as fuck. Commercial break and we come back and there's a grounded headlock by Cole. 10 punch in the corner by the Problematic Dream. Clothesline by the Problematic Dream and body shots in the corner. A super kick by the Problematic Dream. A pump kick and a backstabber by Cole. Enziguri by Cole. Ushigoroshi. Forearm shots. Cole tosses the Problematic Dream to the outside. Hits him with a super kick. Fish and O'Reilly brawl with Dexter Loomis, of all people, on the outside. In the process, the referee gets bumped. The Problematic Dream hits the Purple Rainmaker. And the dream is over because just in time the referee gets up, super kick, last shot, Cole is your winner. Cole should be your winner because this main event should have been changed. You did a bullshit injury angle 2 weeks ago with Finn Balor that didn't even require him to be in the building. You messed up a locker room and left his t-shirt on the floor. You could have done the same thing with the problematic dream, but you didn't, and you know exactly why you didn't. I don't want to leave off this show like this because this show was really fucking good. Everything else. The women's title match was good. The women's mid-card stuff is okay. I mean, you've got a story such as it is with Xia Li and Aaliyah, plus... Okay, my laundry's done. That's awesome. Chelsea Green and the Robert Stone brand is sort of becoming a thing as well. The Cruiserweight Championship tournament thing is ticking along. Balor's going to face somebody. We had the debut of KARRION KROSS, which is really cool. You know, Rhea Ripley came back, which is awesome. And I really wish this big dark cloud wasn't hanging over the end of this. And I really wish... after I said... I hate this because after I said what I said about the Maverick situation and how I really try to parse out what's the story and what's the wrestler, I know I am perfectly aware that I sound like a hypocrite, but this is very, very different. The Maverick thing, even if it is true, is not in his own control, and to a certain degree isn't even in the NXT creative writers' control. This could have been changed. This could have been something else. You could have done the injury, you could have sent him home and said, go sort the shit out. If you're guilty, you're fucked. If you're innocent, we'll make it up to you later on, that's fine. You could have run an injury angle and somebody else could have come out and had a very average accessorial match with Adam Cole. Put Adam Cole over a little bit more. I think they said he's on like 340 days as NXT champion. Mauro Ranallo could have ended off the show with, and he ticks over to 341, something like that. You didn't have to do this. You shouldn't have done this. I expect more of this brand because this is the brand that I love, and this is a big fucking fail. This is a big black spot on the show, and if this keeps going as a main event storyline, I'm not going to be nice about it. Let's just put it that way. But we have Balor versus Grimes next week. I feel bad for Balor because they're wasting his time. We get a weird tag team title match thing. We're going to get Ripley versus Shirai. I don't know. I couldn't tell you right now whether that's happening next week or in the coming weeks. So there's a lot of good things to come. Just get the problematic dream off my TV until this shit gets sorted out. Because, yeah, I don't want to shit on NXT. I really, really don't. They took the people off the show that I didn't care about for the most part. You know, they put the Forgotten Sons on SmackDown. They put Bianca Belair on Raw. Dexter Lumis is sort of fluctuating between a guy I don't care about and a guy that's mildly interesting. Cameron Grimes is a bit of a jobber, but he's going to get his ass handed to him next week by Finn Balor. So that all works out. So like, to get rid of all these little things that bug me about this show and then throw a big fuckwad of a wrench in like this, it makes it hard to enjoy what was a fantastic show tonight. I haven't seen AEW yet, as I know. They put together a show tonight that could rival whatever they're doing on AEW tonight. And as I say, I haven't watched it. Let's be fair. They could, oh yeah, they're getting the revival on AEW, so they were created by NXT. Moving on. I don't know. I'm rambling on because this main event pissed me off, and that's not going to be popular, as I've said. I hope there are people out there, and you're fans of Velveteen Dream, you're fans of whoever you're fans of. Maybe you think it's time that Adam Cole, you know, passed on the belt to somebody else. He's had it for a long enough time. He's had a great run with it. But you're a fan of Velveteen Dream, or you're a fan of just, let's try something different, or you're a fan of NXT and you want to... I hope more people than I think look at this and see how wrong it is. Because I don't want to be pissed off at NXT. And this main event made me pissed off at NXT, which sucks because the rest of the show was great. You had two great returns with Balor and Ripley. You had KARRION KROSS. You had a nice women's title match. You're doing some other cool things with the women's division, the Cruiserweight title, and all that sort of thing. Imperium's getting in the mix. It's fine. So we're still representing NXT UK a little bit. And then you do this. You put somebody in your main event that just shouldn't be there. And I'm rambling now, and I acknowledge that I'm rambling, but don't fucking do it. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the show as much as I enjoyed the rest of the show. Let me know what you think down in the box below. But I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right
You're a freak.